Hello, and welcome to another episode of Product and Cake. This is the first episode of season 3 of Product and Cake that we are gonna go through all of the ups and downs of a career, starting a career as a product manager. And today in the virtual recording studio is with me, Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Hey Ghonche, I'm super excited and I'm so happy that we are now kicking off season 3. That
Yeah,
is
right?
very exciting. And we will start with the basics very much. But before that, it's still important to
Of
start with a
course.
check in question. And
Nice.
I have one for you. And the question is, do you collect anything?
Ooh. Um I collect clothes if you want to ask my partner. But joking aside, I used to collect Tintin memorabilia. So in German, you call it Timon Stroppi. Yeah.
Tim und Struppi,
So
yeah.
Tintin or Tantan. I really, really loved all of the books. I have a big collection of Tintin memorabilia stuff. Yeah. How
Ooh,
about you?
awesome.
What do you collect?
Yeah, nowadays I don't collect anything anymore, but in my younger ages I was collecting salt
Ooh.
shakers. Whenever we went
Oh
to a
no.
restaurant,
How this
I
sentence is gonna
I gave
end.
myself is a little memorial on that restaurant. Yeah, and I had quite a huge collection that was awkward and strange, but I really enjoyed it.
So for legal purposes,
Oh, that is already so long time
okay.
ago, and I think it's
There are still some restaurants in Berlin that have your photo, like wanted, the
I
salt
think they are
shaker bandit.
calculating with some lost. That's why you should change
Yeah.
the restaurant from time to time. No, but it really escalated that people also gave me salt shakers for birthday, and then I got some special
That's
ones, and I had a
really
really
cool.
huge collection of around 150
Wow.
salt shakers or something.
Do you still have them? Do
Long
you
time ago.
have them presented somewhere? Oh
No,
no, did you sell them or?
no, not yet. No, one day I packed them, then the package got wet, then they were all more
Oh
or less wasted,
no.
and I have a few special ones left, but the big collection that time is
Sorry
over.
to hear. But do you want to start at some point? Continue it or start a new collection?
Maybe I start a new
Yeah.
collection at some point, but before that, I want to start a collection of
Yes.
podcast episodes with you.
Nice. What is the topic that we are going to discuss today, Paul?
Yes, we are now in season 3, and season 3 changes a little bit the approach of what we are tackling because we want to guide you now in this episode and all the following on how to have a super successful enter into the product management world. The product management world, if you manage a tech project, I would say, right? The all the stuff we need to do to spin up successful companies or to keep successful companies alive requires somehow people who oversees the product. And there are many questions, and maybe you ask yourself at the moment if that is the right job for you, or you ask yourself on how to improve or how to survive. Or I think also a very common question is my company the only one who is totally crazy and no one knows actually what a product manager should do, but everyone requires one? If so, then this season is the right one for you. And we want to start very basic with defining what basically is a
Yeah.
product manager. Is it that easy to say, Goncha?
Sadly, no. We can product manager, like a lot of things that we will go through in this season, is gives us a frame, and based on our need we can adjust that frame slightly. But also today we are going to go through the introduction to product manager management a little bit, so get an understanding of the what is product management, what is this role, and what are the key responsibilities and the main skills required for it, and also why this role is important, and maybe a little bit about the comparison to similar roles that we hear in companies.
Nice. Let's dive in. I would like to start with a question to
Oh,
you. How do I know that a product manager is needed in my project?
oh, that's a really hard one to answer for me. In my opinion, almost all projects do need a product manager. You can call it differently. Sometimes the that hat of managing the product is with a different name. So product owner, product responsible, etc. So sometimes in very very smaller companies, like maybe it's 2 3 people, that the tasks and the responsibilities of what a product manager can take in the future is even on the shoulders of a CEO. So I think it's important to understand if you have those specific needs, and for those specific needs, you either gonna define a new role as a product manager, or no, it is currently in the current setup of your company, it is on the shoulders of someone else.
So, in general, especially if it is still the
Yeah.
founder, and basically also for every project, you need someone who understands deeply the customers or the users, right? Would you agree with starting on that
Yeah, of course.
point?
So there is a lot of things that goes into it. It is one side the understanding of the market, understanding of the customer, understanding not necessarily the customer, but understanding the needs of the customer. At the same time, understanding the business side. And the third aspect, so it's intersection of these three things. The third aspect is the technical capabilities. So it sits between business, user, and the technical implications of it. Is a product manager doesn't necessarily need to be technical product manager, but it is important that to have the basic idea of feasibility. And this can in different companies. I mean, in this season, we are in general going to talk about tech companies that are based on a digital product, but also if it's not necessarily a digital product company, a lot of companies that create products that are physical do also have product managers. But in that scenario, the feasibility is not the technical feasibility in terms of coding, but in terms of can a factory produce this? Can a factory scalably produce this, etc.?
That is very true. And one major difference I really enjoy is that we in the tech world, ideally, we can deploy something to production. We see, oh, it is not working as expected, so we roll
Yeah,
it back. Or we release the new version and we fix what we have, right? If you kicked off a factory and you are waiting 6 months until your product is arriving from China, then and all of them are shit, then maybe you have a problem. But this is not what this podcast is about, right? We are living on the
yeah,
fast lane. We are able, and that requires a lot of things, but ideally we are able to release every day. We have A/B test groups. We can think about hypotheses and we can validate them in a close to real world example. And for me, especially as exactly as you said, combining business, user perspective, and tech, and helping everyone to understand where is our track to go
yeah,
forward,
exactly.
right? Because the specialists on all of these three parts, they will have a lot of ideas. I mean, I am from the tech world, so I know every engineer comes with a long, long list of ideas. What needs to be built now? What would be the very best from tech perspective? We should go deep, deep, deep into refactoring, but that is not always the right path. And I would require from a product manager to have the time to think through these
Yeah,
different perspectives, but also to understand the perspectives and to take time to talk to the people and try to learn why they are passionate about certain
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Shall we go through an example? So take a product. So I think we also need to a little bit define when we are also through the whole season talking about product, which is also the name of our podcast, product and cake. What do we mean by product? And going a little bit deeper into what does a product manager potentially do?
Yeah, perfect. That's a very great idea.
So let's take an example that a lot of us have already used it. Let's imagine it's a taxi service, online taxi service company, and for legal reasons, we are going to call it Uber with a D-U-D-E-R. Uber has a product manager, and Uber's work is to connect people who are looking for a taxi and want to go from A to B with drivers that can drive that person from A to B for a fee. So, can you
Mhm.
tell us in this scenario what does a product manager do?
Yeah, definitely. So I assume it is a
Yeah.
small team. We're just starting. We're started in one city. There are maybe two very passionate engineers who built the first prototype. It is working. They have somehow a designer who made beautiful looking screens, and some founders or business people who are just running around like crazy and
Mm,
promising that their app is capable to do more or less everything. And then in the next team meeting, we are realizing, oh shit, we need to have a product
mhm.
manager somehow, because all the ideas are over
Yeah.
flooding us. They are coming from all sides, all at the same time. We have some users, we have some first glimpse of data, and nobody has the capabilities at the moment to really dive into these different streams and help us identifying the the next best step forward. And this is what I would expect you, if you would join now this Uder team as a product manager, to first of all learn what is already there, what capabilities and resources do we have, is there already any data sources we can get data from. So what is the company doing and what is the state of the product at the
Exactly.
moment? So the product, I would say, is the app someone have in their hand. And the next, or maybe even the step before, would be to install it, book a taxi, do a ride, and get this user experience
Yeah.
firsthand, and then see what is currently available. Because what would be a word here in the season 3 is it depends also very much this product management role, because there is no teaching
Yeah.
book definition that it is always like that. And this is difficult, but this is also the beauty of that role, because you can form it and you can talk to the people who hired you or you are working with. What do they expect from
Yeah,
a product manager?
exactly. It goes from side to side, different companies with different needs. But also, it is important that at the very first step, the product manager role is to understand the goal of the company, to understand the business that the company is in. So, how do they make money? Understand the user's need and understand how currently things are working. And with that, then the next step is to think a little bit strategically. And also, when we are referring to product, sometimes it's an interchangeable word with service. So Uber in this scenario is not necessarily a product, but it is a service that we also call it that's that whole service of that company. We call it the product of that company. But also, if they have an app, if they have an iOS app, Android app, website, mobile site, etc., all of those individually can also be considered the product. In bigger companies, also it gets divided into smaller things. So each feature can be a specific product, and each feature potentially can have a product manager as well. But for this specific example, we are going to zoom out a little bit, look back, and consider the product as this whole service that Uber provides, that is allow connecting people from A to B to drivers that can take that person from A to B for a fee. um, and with that we consider the whole service, we consider the product. And here the goal of this product manager is to go through this whole process, understand how the current process works, understand the goal of the company, which I already said what it is, and try to actively improve it, try to actively make sure that goal is achieved continuously and continuously. And yeah, you wanted to say something.
So, yeah, because I'm already overwhelmed, right? I mean, in my very early days, that sounds very, very, um, very, very, um, I missed the word. It is
Yeah,
so much things, right? So many things going on at the same time. How the heck, in my early days of my career, should I be capable to understand all of that? And I would also like to give you an answer. And you said it also. First of all, find
yeah,
out what is your product, right? This is so, so different. So just ask this question, multiple people, and you will get multiple answers. And the next one is calm down, because there is a world without you as a product manager, and there's also a world with you after you leaving that company. So it makes absolutely no sense to stress out yourself and to fall from rabbit hole into rabbit hole, because as longer this company is existing, as more data you will find, and you need to develop a sense of, okay, I want to zoom out, I want to understand, and I can relay on my communication skills to talk to people, and the people want you to have working with them, and they will help you,
exactly.
right? No one is assuming that you will know everything out of the blue just because you are stepping into that role now. No, no, everyone needs to support you. And most of the people are really, really helpful if you ask the right questions. So never hesitate to ask, and always make sure to cut at a certain time of the day, do something for yourself, relax. And this is definitely a long term
Exactly.
game. Nothing you can solve if you do over hours in your
Yeah,
early
I
days.
completely agree. And I think one of the main skills that a product manager needs to have is to be able to determine what to spend time on. So either something is urgent and important. So that is a very basic chart that everyone I think already knows, that you go through if it's urgent and important, if it's just urgent but not important, and if it's important, not urgent, and if it's not urgent and not important. So through the matrix of urgency and
Uh,
importance, you can divide the topics that comes to your table. Because trust me, a lot of things will come to your table, and some of them really don't deserve your attention at that moment. It might be an interesting topic to go back to at a later time. And that is why also product management is such an important role, because you would be the person balancing this together. So I do see product management as a very fluid role that takes shape. So it's kind of like a cat, it takes shape of the area that is in. And if there is a lot of developers and designers next to you, you need to understand the language between these different teams, and to be able to translate and mediate between these different languages that are existent in the company, and to guide everyone towards the goal. It's not that necessarily you define the goal. As I said, in the case of Uber, the goal is very clear. It's connecting more. So at the end of the day, is having more um, booked drives, having more successful passengers moved from A to B by using Uber. The goal is already defined as a business, and your goal as a product manager in that company is to make sure everything every time is aligned towards that end goal, and gather everyone towards that end goal at the end.
yeah. And I met in my career already great product managers with a very
Yeah,
diverse background. So there is not this one educational track you can take and then you know, okay, I studied product management and now I know everything. That will disappoint you very much, because all of us have different definitions. every company, every person inside the company. Maybe each person have also multiple definitions depending on the situation. So just relax and continue listen to that podcast because this metric mentioned is just one of all the awesome tools we have, and they can really help you. And then one day at UDA, another person crossed my way and they are saying, I am.
I can
What
hear you,
happened?
but the quality is not necessarily good. Did your microphone change?
No,
Huh.
doesn't change.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, you can continue. I think. Okay, now it's
Yeah.
better. Now
Or
it's good.
maybe let me.
Yeah, yeah. Now
It's
it's
better
good.
again? Okay, awesome.
Sorry.
I did nothing. No worries. I will take a look. I will listen if in the recording if it
Yeah.
changed. Um, so one day at UDA, a person cross your way and introducing themselves as project
Ooh.
manager. Ghonche, what? Why did you hire the project manager, and what is that role now supposed to do?
Yeah. So very interesting. But also, both of these roles, the acronyms is PM. So project manager and product manager, both the acronyms are PM. And yeah,
That's the first problem
because
of the
people
two
say I'm
roles.
a PM and you don't have a product manager or project manager. But let's go through 4 or 5 of the main responsibilities of a project manager and then product manager, and then see the similarities and the differences here. So on the project manager side, you need to create a project plan. And on the product manager side, this is in the shape of a roadmap or a product strategy. And both of the groups, so project manager and a product manager, do need to do a lot of stakeholder communication. One thing that is, or two things that sets them apart starts here. On a project manager side, there is a project handover and there is a postmortem. This means that there is an end date with a very clear deliverable. And on a product manager side, there is product backlog, user stories, product analytics, and there is no necessarily end date for delivery of something. Basically, you're never done with your current assignment. And a project manager, there is a very clear scope, and that scope gets done, and that project gets done. Additionally, there is a lot of strategic planning and road setting that goes into product management that does not necessarily exist in project management responsibilities. So sometimes for a specific project got created due to the product strategy created by a product manager. And then a project gets defined, a project manager gets set for that project.
So to boil that down into our
Yeah.
UDA example, I am the product manager and my product will
Yeah.
never be finished, right? My product is the app, is the user experience, is the need of the people to book
Exactly.
a ride. And then as vacation season is now coming, so we want to have a project to offer the best rides to the airport, for example, for families going to their summer vacation. So that could be, for example, a project that will start right now and will end in 1 month and have certain requirements and an end date.
Exactly. So in this
That is,
scenario, the project manager needs to work with stakeholders such as marketing team to create a lot of ads that, hey, 10% off, 20% off, etc., for going through to the airport and back. And at the same time, maybe some fun little features needs to be implemented. So the project manager collaborates with the product manager responsible for the backlog of the teams and says, hey, for this specific project, we need these requests from you. And then the product manager builds that. And at the end of the day, the product manager eats, sleeps, and breathes the needs of the customer and the needs of the user. But in this scenario, the project manager just mainly is responsible for that project getting there on time.
yes, and I have a bad news for you because in the early days of UDA, both responsibilities will land on your desk. Until you have the funding to hire a lot more people and it starts to make sense to differentiate both roles, it will very much be on your plate. And it makes sense to understand the difference and to think about and also to
Yeah.
communicate it, because that will ease your life if the question arises, hey, why are you so overworked and why don't you finish the one and the other project? Then you can say, hey, I'm mixing here product and project work at the same time, and it would make sense to hire people with the certain capabilities to help us in one or the other
Yeah.
direction. I would like to give you one more example to differentiate from my current company. At the XU Group, we are building knowledge platforms, and we have the product managers in our product tech team where we build the learning platform and we're focusing on the learner experience. And then we have the project managers who are working with our clients to onboard multiple thousands of learners for one specific company. So we are working close with the project managers, and the project managers works with our
Nice.
customers. And I think that illustrates again that every company have their own definitions. If you are in your early, or if the company is in your early days, then you have the chance to draft that definitions, right? To help to fill them with life, and don't hesitate to write some bullet points, some requirements to make that clear. Gonche, that was already a lot of
Yes.
content, but still, there's one important bullet point open. Let us slightly go into the AI
Mhm.
corner. How will AI, or first of all, the question, will AI very soon replace my job anyway, and the product management is not needed because yeah, the next large language model will prioritize and do stakeholder communication? What do you
Phew,
think?
that's a hard one because with the current things that I'm seeing, nope. But I don't know because the speed of improvement of AI has been really, really increasing in the last few years. And I think there are a lot of tools that are getting much more creative. I don't think that it's going to completely remove the role of a product manager. It will definitely change it a lot. So probably it gets more strategic, it gets more overviewing of things that might not necessarily be just condensed into Jira ticket creation, which to be honest, it's not. It's much more fun than that. But I think it might remove some of the manual hurdles on the way. And also, for winning the long game in business or in product, it's not based on doing what is logical. No company has ever uh, won the game of business, if you look at it as a long game, by doing something extremely logical and something that made sense. It is through innovation, through creativity, and through doing something illogical that at the end of the day works, that the leapfrogging into next step of a company has happened. And that does not come necessarily from language model because that is something very logical, something that has been done based on previous information. But the creativity is something that human can add.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And I would like to add the point that you still need to learn the
Yeah.
basics, right? You should not ask the AI, hey, what is a product manager doing? Instead, learn and get the requirements from your team and from your coworkers and colleagues, and then ask very dedicated questions. What is also super great is writing down what you understood a product manager at your company is doing and put that one into an AI and ask, what do I miss? What is not logical here? Right? To use it
Fact
as
checker.
a
Yeah.
mirror or as a fact checker or sparring partner, right? Because it will support you on your journey, but it will not take the
Yeah.
journey for you. So it will for sure change our jobs. I mean, it is doing already, but we still all together need to learn on how to make most out of it. And this is a great challenge you should be happy about.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think in this episode, we went through a lot of the hurdles of and the mess of the product management. And in the next episode, We are going to continue on this, make it a little bit more structured. So after this mess, there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. We are going to make it a little bit more structured, but we want to show the realities and the mess that currently it is, entering the world of product. And we will go next episode into the key responsibilities and the skills required. And also stay tuned for some book recommendation.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. And I would also like to wrap up very, very quickly what we tried to draft here. So, product management is the intersection between business, user requirement, and tech. And if you join your new role, you should find out what is the goal
Mhm.
of the company, how is the company making money, what are the user needs, and what are the things to work on. And last but not least, what is the product you
Yeah,
should manage? How can you define that in detail? With that leading questions, you will make already a fantastic job, and everyone will be surprised by your capabilities on having a structured approach.
that's true.
So,
That's very true.
subs- subscribe. Look forward for all the more structured episodes that are coming. I'm also looking forward so much for
Oh,
tools
yeah.
and methodologies, because there are so many and most of them are have so funny, and it's great time to work on
True.
all of that. Gonja, I'm looking forward to talk
Same.
through that
Me
with you
too. Thank
together.
you, Paul.
Have a
Subscribe.
nice day. Bye.